It was a cold, rainy evening when Mina, a young girl living in a small, humble home on the outskirts of the city, was walking back from the market. The streets were slick with rain, and the dim light of the street lamps flickered across puddles. As she passed a narrow alley, she noticed a man huddled against the wall, shivering under a thin, tattered blanket. His clothes were soaked, and his face was pale and weary. Most passers-by ignored him, crossing to the other side of the street, but Mina felt an unusual tug at her heart. Despite her own struggles, Mina could not leave him there. She had little to her name, a small home, barely enough food, and meager savings, but the sight of someone in need awakened something within her. She hesitated for only a moment, thinking about her younger brother waiting at home and the scant meal she had prepared, yet she knew she could not ignore this man's suffering. Compassion outweighed fear or inconvenience. With a gentle voice, she called out, "Sir, are you okay? Do you need some food or a place to stay for tonight?" The man looked up, startled and wary, unsure if her offer was genuine. Mina smiled warmly, her eyes reflecting empathy rather than pity. She motioned for him to follow her, taking him through the rain to her modest home. At her home, Mina quickly prepared a simple meal of rice, vegetables, and some bread. She offered him a seat at the small wooden table and gave him a warm cup of tea. While the man ate in silence, she cleaned a corner of the room, brought him a dry blanket, and even arranged a small mat for him to rest. Every action was thoughtful, done quietly, with no expectation of recognition or reward. Throughout the evening, Mina treated him like a guest in her own home. She listened patiently as he spoke softly about his life, asking little questions yet showing genuine interest in his comfort. The warmth of her actions contrasted sharply with the cold, harsh streets outside, and the man, who had been accustomed to judgment and suspicion, felt a rare sense of dignity and respect. This act of pure, selfless kindness marked the beginning of an extraordinary story. Mina's willingness to open her heart and her home to a stranger, despite her own hardships, revealed her inner strength and humanity. It was a simple act of generosity, yet it held the power to change lives, not only the man she helped, but her own life as well. Her compassion set in motion a chain of events that neither she nor anyone else could have anticipated. The man Mina had taken home seemed ordinary at first, dirty, tired, and worn from the streets, but there was an air of quiet dignity about him, a subtle confidence that set him apart from the usual beggars she had occasionally encountered. While he ate the simple meal she had prepared and wrapped himself in the blanket she had offered, he remained polite and observant, asking only a few questions and speaking with a calm, measured tone. Mina, of course, had no reason to suspect that there was anything extraordinary about him. To her, he was simply a human being in desperate need of kindness, someone deserving of care and compassion. What Mina didn't know was that this man was Seo Jun-ho, a billionaire CEO of one of the country's largest companies. Known for his sharp intellect, strategic mind, and meticulous control over his business empire, Jun-ho had chosen to step away from his usual life of luxury for a day. He wanted to experience, firsthand, the realities of life faced by ordinary people, particularly those who lived in poverty. It was a personal experiment, a test of empathy, and, in some ways, a way for him to remain grounded despite the pressures of wealth and power. For Jun-ho, the streets were a stage for observation. He had disguised himself carefully, leaving behind his tailored suits, expensive watches, and luxury car. Every detail, from the frayed coat he wore to the worn shoes on his feet, was meticulously chosen to make him indistinguishable from the other people struggling to survive in the city. Yet, even in this disguise, he was keenly aware of how his presence might be interpreted. He was prepared for suspicion, indifference, or even rejection. What surprised him, however, was Mina's unwavering kindness. She did not question his appearance or his ability to repay her. She acted purely out of empathy, a trait that is rare even among those who live modest lives. Every gesture, every thoughtful act of generosity, revealed her integrity, humility, and innate goodness. Jun-ho observed silently, noting the small details, the way she made sure the food was warm, how she folded the blanket around him with care, and the genuine interest in his comfort without expectation of reward. At that moment, Jun-ho realized that he had found someone whose character could not be measured by wealth, social status, or circumstance. The hidden identity of a billionaire was irrelevant. What mattered was the authentic human connection being formed through simple acts of kindness. Mina's heart and selflessness had unknowingly impressed a man of immense power, setting the stage for a life-altering revelation that would surprise both of them and everyone around them. As the evening progressed, Mina and the disguised CEO, Seo Jun-ho, settled into an unusual but comforting rhythm. Mina moved around her small apartment, tidying up, refilling the tea cup, and checking on her younger siblings, all while treating Jun-ho as if he were any ordinary guest. She never once questioned his background or his circumstances, believing him to be just another human in need of warmth and kindness. Her natural generosity shone in every small gesture, a gentle smile, a comforting word, a quiet laugh that filled the modest room with light despite the darkness outside. Jun-ho, observing from a modest corner of the apartment, felt a growing admiration. He had met countless people throughout his life, but he rarely encountered such selfless purity of heart. To see someone so young, with so little, yet willing to give without expectation, moved him deeply. Every act of care, every moment of concern she showed for her siblings and the man she believed to be a beggar, revealed a character built on compassion and integrity. Finally, Jun-ho could no longer remain anonymous. The moment had come to reveal the truth, not as a test, but as a way to honor the kindness Mina had shown. He removed his coat and stood up, speaking gently but firmly. "Mina, there's something I need to tell you," he said. Her eyes widened, filled with cautious curiosity. "I am not who you think I am," he continued. "I am Seo Jun-ho, the CEO of Juno Group. I came here disguised today because I wanted to see the world from a different perspective, to understand the struggles ordinary people face." Mina froze, her mind struggling to process the revelation. The man she had welcomed with open arms, the stranger she had cared for without a second thought, was a billionaire, someone whose wealth and power were almost unimaginable. Her initial shock was replaced by a mixture of awe, disbelief, and humility. Jun-ho smiled reassuringly. "I wanted you to see that your kindness, your generosity, and your heart have not gone unnoticed. What you did tonight was extraordinary. You did not help me because of who I am, but because it was the right thing to do. That is a rare and precious quality." The revelation was life-changing for Mina. Not only had her compassionate act been recognized by someone of immense influence, but it also opened doors to opportunities she had never dreamed of. Her simple gesture of empathy, done without expectation, had bridged the gap between two completely different worlds, demonstrating the profound power of kindness. From that moment on, Mina's life began to transform, not just materially, but in ways that nurtured her spirit, her confidence, and her belief in the extraordinary impact of compassion. A single act of generosity had set in motion a chain of events that would surprise and inspire everyone around them. After revealing his true identity, Seo Jun-ho watched Mina carefully, observing her reaction. She was stunned, her eyes wide with disbelief, yet there was no trace of arrogance or entitlement in her expression, only humility and the same gentle kindness that had impressed him from the start. Jun-ho realized that her actions had not been motivated by a desire for recognition, wealth, or status. She had acted purely out of compassion, and that purity of heart deserved more than just words of gratitude. Jun-ho decided to reward her in a way that would have a lasting impact, far beyond a simple act of charity. He began by ensuring that Mina and her family would have immediate security, their apartment rent was covered for the next year, and a steady supply of food and necessities was provided. But he didn't stop there. Jun-ho understood that true empowerment came from opportunity, not just money. He offered Mina access to educational resources and training programs to help her develop skills she could use to build a sustainable future for herself and her siblings. "I want you to know," Jun-ho said gently, "that your actions tonight have shown me the true value of character. I can give you more than just money, I can help you create a life where you don't have to struggle." Mina was overwhelmed. She had never imagined that her simple act of kindness, taking in a stranger and offering food and warmth, could lead to such opportunities. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she expressed her gratitude, but Jun-ho quickly reminded her that she had done nothing wrong, nor had she sought a reward. "This is not charity," he explained. "It's recognition of your integrity, your courage, and your heart. You deserve every chance to thrive." Over the following weeks, Jun-ho continued to mentor Mina, introducing her to people who could guide her in education, business, and personal growth. He ensured that her younger siblings had access to schooling and opportunities she had never imagined. Every gesture was carefully considered, designed to lift her life sustainably rather than temporarily. What made this act extraordinary was the subtlety of Jun-ho's approach. He did not overwhelm her with wealth or extravagance, nor did he make her feel indebted. Instead, he nurtured her potential, giving her tools and resources to change her own destiny. Through this generous guidance, Mina began to see the world differently. She realized that genuine kindness could not only touch hearts but also attract unexpected blessings. The man she had welcomed as a beggar had become a mentor, benefactor, and a source of inspiration, proving that selfless acts often return in ways far beyond what anyone could predict. In the weeks and months that followed, Mina's life transformed in ways she had never dreamed possible. What had begun as a simple act of kindness, a poor girl taking in a stranger, grew into a journey of hope, empowerment, and inspiration. Thanks to Seo Jun-ho's guidance and support, her family's immediate struggles were eased. The apartment they lived in was secure, her siblings were enrolled in school, and for the first time in years, Mina could breathe without constant worry gnawing at her heart. But the true change was more than material. Mina's confidence grew as she realized that her actions, motivated by pure empathy, had earned recognition from someone who had the power to change her world. She understood that kindness, integrity, and compassion were not weaknesses, they were strengths capable of creating ripples far beyond what one might expect. Every interaction with Jun-ho reinforced this lesson. He encouraged her to pursue her ambitions, supported her learning, and reminded her that her worth was measured not by wealth or circumstance, but by the depth of her heart. Jun-ho, too, experienced a profound shift. Accustomed to the trappings of power, he had rarely encountered people who acted selflessly. Mina's genuine concern for him, without any expectation of reward, reminded him of the humanity that often gets lost in wealth and influence. Her actions had reawakened his empathy and reinforced the belief that true leadership involves lifting others up, not just building empires. As trust grew between them, a bond formed, one built on mutual respect, admiration, and shared humanity. Mina learned to navigate her new opportunities with humility, while Jun-ho admired her resilience, humility, and inner strength. What had begun as a single, selfless gesture had become a bridge connecting two very different lives. The story of Mina and the disguised CEO spread quietly among friends and family, becoming an example of how one simple act of kindness can transform lives. It reminded everyone that no matter how small or disadvantaged someone might feel, their actions can have profound consequences. Compassion, courage, and integrity can break barriers, inspire others, and create opportunities that wealth alone cannot buy. Mina's life now carried both hope and purpose. She was empowered, her family secure, and her belief in the power of kindness solidified. Jun-ho continued to support her from the background, ensuring she could achieve her potential while preserving her independence. Together, their story became a testament to the extraordinary outcomes that arise when generosity meets genuine character, a reminder that even the smallest act of humanity can lead to life-changing miracles.